Our topic today is Zords, a topic you've chosen that I'm rather understudied on. I've taken some notes.
Oh, bloody hell, you've got research!
So I put the very awkward movie Zords behind me. The idea that this one's like a man reminds me of like the archangels in Christian mythology would be like on the corners of a bunch of paintings, and it's like the lion man, the bull man. I don't remember the fourth one, and the other one was just the man man. I was always like, why is that guy the man man? And they're like, I don't know, it's an angel or something.
From my perspective, because of where he stood, it kind of looks like he's about to tap you on the shoulder.
I'm sorry, I'm being called away. What is this?
But yeah, you've got the most controversial Zords behind you, I think, other than the 2017 movie ones.
Yeah, I tried to find a stock image, and everything that came up was like someone else's thumbnail. If someone else put the effort into making a thumbnail, I don't want to just plop it up behind me. So this was the closest I could find to a stock thing.
Hey, you've got the only frog Zord that we have, also. So, like, come on, respect,
I'm so sad we never got a spider Zord. I want one.
or dragonfly. That'd be really cool.
I want that's the one of the main reasons I want to watch King Onger is because I
Hmm.
know that there's a spider in it, and I need that in my life. So I can never remember the names of the combinations of the Zords because Zords just really aren't the part of the show that I'm passionate about. Like Zords come on, I'm like, oh cool, robots, fight scene. And I get excited when they do different combinations or when a new one shows up. But typically I'm like, I don't know, it's the Megazord from that season, and I can't remember like what the proper name is.
I've never really paid attention to Megazord names, but I think I'm the complete opposite. I think Zords is one of my favorite things about Power Rangers. I always get excited to see, like, I'm one of these people that when a new auxiliary Zord comes on, I get so hyped. Like when we get a new auxiliary Zord, I'm one of the I was one of those kids. I was like, oh my god, yes, they have a new Zord, let's go. You know.
I've definitely gotten really hyped before when they made a Megazord for the first time. I think it was when I was watching Dino Thunder, and I got
Mm.
like really so excited I made a video about it. And this was before I was a Power Rangers content creator. I just made a video to share with like my regular Instagram friends. And I was like, yeah, I'm home alone. I started to realize they were going to make a Megazord for the first time. And I was like, oh, are they going to make a Megazord? They're going to make a Megazord. It was like a dog when you get the leash out and they're like, are we going for a walk? We're gonna go for a walk. I was like, this is happening. And then I was like, oh, I'm such a nerd.
And on this day, James realized she was a nerd.
Yep. And that moment, never before that in the many years of my life.
It's really strange you bring up Dino Thunder as well because that's one of the seasons I wish they stuck more to the adaptation because in the Super Sentai Abba Ranger, the Zords are completely sentient because they come from a different dimension, so they're completely alive. Hence why in the Power Ranger morphing sequence, their helmets and their morphers move. Because the Super Sentai they can talk. It's just that'd be so cool if we just had one season where the Zords were a bit more sentient.
Do they still all die at the end of the Sentai?
I don't know if all of them die, but I know that like they do get like badly damaged and stuff. I know Abba Killer dies, and I know that his Zord also dies. So that'd be our White Ranger because he's a villain. 90% of the show, he's not actually a good guy at all, really, which is an odd change. Dino Thunder, I think, is one of the more unique ones as well because it's one of those ones where we lose an arm and we get a big drill, which changed up things because usually we have two arms, legs, and a torso, maybe sometimes a head, depending on the season.
Yeah, there's only a couple seasons where like the arm interchange is switching to a different kind of weapon. I know with like the spinning shark arm in RPM. And then I think a lot of the other dinosaur ones, like they'll switch it out and it's like this one has smashy power and this one
Yeah,
has stabby power.
it's especially Dino Thunder and Dino Fury. I found because Dino Fury does that a lot as well, where they change, because the pink one's got like, is it Triceratops? The pink one has. I'm thinking Dino Charge there.
It's an ankylosaur.
Yeah, she's got like a hammer, and then like when it came to Dino Charge, they had one with like a sword looking thing. Dino Thunder had I can never remember the dinosaur, but it's the one with the buzzsaw on its back, and it gave the Zord a buzzsaw, if you remember that, and he had a drill and a buzzsaw. By the way, overkill, buzzsaw and drill at the same time.
It's giving Gigan the with the chest blade and the hook hands. Like
Yeah.
he's got a lot going on as far as like cutting you up. And then he has laser vision. You're like, this dude Overkill.
I feel like Mighty Morphin's actually the dinosaur season with the more basic, Megazord and stuff. If you think about it, because like we said, they all have like one Zord gets exchanged for something.
Mhm.
But Mighty Morphin didn't do that.
One of the things I did write down is the old classic standby of Zord conversation topics that only two of the Zords in Mighty Morphin are actually dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's true. Here, have dinosaur powers. Oh my god, I can't wait to have a Brachiosaurus. No, you get a tiger.
I always thought pterodactyls were dinosaurs, but like technically they're from a different period.
We'll air quote that. Yeah,
Close enough.
the kids won't mind. It's all good.
A dragon is basically just a dinosaur, you know?
Yeah,
I have selected my favorite and least favorite Zords because that seems like a good
yeah. Okay.
if we're talking about swords, we may as well. My favorite Megazord is the Jungle Pride Megazord. I like the design. It's so sleek and it seems like so much like a little kickboxer guy. The other ones, they get so square. That one's very like rounded, and I really like
Mm.
that. And I think I really just like smaller Zords because I think my favorite Zord is the Armadillo Zord from Wild Force, the little purple guy. Like, this is so cute.
Yeah.
I honestly typically never like Ultrazords. I'm like, it's too big. It's like a
Yeah.
city moving around. But the Zords that I really like universally dislike are like the Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Titanosaurus ones, like carrier Zords. Something about the anatomy of a creature being like, you shove a car in right here, and it's like way too skinny until you shove the car in. I'm like, that's not right. Why is their spine broken until you shove all the other words into them? So yeah, the Brachiosaurus from Dino Thunder, the Titano from Dino Charge, and the Titanus Carrier from Mighty Morphin. I hate those guys. Every time they come on screen, I'm like,
I agree with the Charizords, by the way. I've never been really a fan, to be honest. And I think the biggest issue is a lot of the time when like we see the Zords being summoned, they come from somewhere. So like for Mighty Morphin, they all had their little locations. For Ninja Storm, they became, from different vehicles or whatever. They all have their own bases and things. So when they bring in the Charizord, it kind of mutes all that, and it kind of makes it redundant, and it kind of like loses the flair of, oh my god, the Zords are coming.
yeah, why weren't they in the Carrier Zord to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. See, thank you.
Like,
I agree with that. You
did
know,
someone threw it and they all fell out?
That's great. I like that. But why doesn't any of the Rangers question this? They get the Charizord for the first time. They're like, "Oi, you're telling me my dinosaur's been hiding beneath a mountain this entire time?"
They don't question much. The Power
No, they
Rangers
don't. Yeah, that's very true. I mean,
other than the super meta episode of RPM, I feel like Power Rangers are pretty just like go with the flow. They're like, is this what's happening? Cool. It came out of a volcano? Sure. Every time? Oh, yeah, totally.
that makes a lot of sense now. 'Cause you said that Jungle Prime Megazord your favorite because I asked you to pick one because I like to explain different things on one of my channels, and one of them is Megazords, and I've done Mighty Morphin, and that got loads of views. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna ask different people, and so one of my friends gave me Wild Force, which is my favorite season, and then I thought I'd ask you because you do a lot of Power Ranger content, and you said Jungle Pride. I was like, okay, cool. And now you said that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that's actually in the works. I've actually written half the script now. Jungle Fury's got an amazing set of Zords. I think they did a good job on like making them okay. Penguin running a surfboard hoverboard type thing, it's weird, but I love it. I think it's wacky.
I wrote that down. I want to know if that is what inspired the Surf's Up penguin picture. Seriously? Like, because
Yes.
those are the only two instances of a penguin on a surfboard. And technically it's a
Yes.
hoverboard in Jungle Fury, but I'm like, did this predate Surf's Up? And someone saw that and they were like, oh, penguins on surfboards. That could be fun.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a preach. That's great. I love that.
It's better than like when sometimes the aquatic Zords will just fly. The Shark Zord in Wild Force is literally just flying, and you're like, why?
No, hang on. Use Buzz Lightyear logic. They're swimming through the air
They're falling.
with
Time.
style.
They do jump off the animarium, so the shark just takes way longer to fall. The fins, I guess.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
I made a video once where someone was like, when the dinosaurs came for Dino Fury, when they first make the Ranger powers, how did the water one get there? And I was like, it just kind of like wiggled, like, wiggled along the ground. And that is
That is great.
like when it joins with the other Megazord, I feel like it almost kind of like jumps up out of the water and does it. It's not as much like it's just kind of floating around random.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get down with that makes a little bit more sense. Other than the fact that every time they show it, it like terrifies me in a deep dark corner in the back of my brain because it's a giant scary fish monster. It is somewhat more logical than some of the other aquatic Zords. Does the dolphin in Ninja Storm fly, or is it just always conveniently in a body of water that happens to be nearby?
No, I think it does actually fly. I think there is at least one scene where it's airborne. Unless I've just come up with some random image in my head and, my brain just wants to betray me. I don't know. But I swear to God it's been airborne.
I feel like the Sentai is scared. Like they were scared to do that. It just wiggles. If it's a fish out of water, it's just got to flop all the way over there.
I
Like,
mean, they're perfectly fine having a full-blown dance sequence before morphing scene, but they're not okay having a floppy fish sword.
yeah, they're scared.
Talking about Aquatic, did you know that in the Super Sentai version of RPM, the green Zord isn't a shark, it's a killer whale?
I do remember learning that, but I immediately forgot it.
Because if you look at the tail curvature, it's left to right, it's horizontal, whereas shark tails are vertical. The only thing I can think of, the reason why they changed that is because orca's a bit too much of a word for kids to learn, and killer whale has the word killer in it, and RPM's a Disney season, and they kind of refrained from saying like murder and dead and killing you and stuff. It would be so cool if they did call it an orca or a killer whale, because Ziggy's one of the only rangers we have that's a main team ranger who has an aquatic themed Zord. That's a main team Zord that isn't blue of any kind. It's
Hmm.
green. So like if they changed it to a killer whale, it would have been like the one and only time that we got that. That'd been really cool. But they decided to call it a shark. I was like, oh, darn.
Still cool that he's not blue. I have always liked that, like green, even for an
Yeah.
orca. I mean, honestly, like green sharks aren't green, orcas aren't green either. They're black and white.
But in Power Rangers, black and green interject each other, don't they? So
Mhm.
having a green orca kind of makes a little bit more sense than having a green shark. So favorite Megazord and least favorite Megazord. Ooh, well, favorites I know off the bat. So my two favorite seasons of all time are the two seasons that got me into Power Rangers. That's Time Force and Wild Force. They're my two favorite seasons. I've just rewatched Wild Force with my son. We're literally so close to the end of Time Force. He's absolutely loved them both. He's only 6 and he's loved them both. I asked him yesterday which one's his favorite and he can't make up his mind. So Wild Force, I'm going to have to give it to the Predazord, which is Merrick's Wild Zords. That's the alligator, the wolf, and the hammerhead. I love the fact it was evil at first. We had a big baddie Megazord that like completely slayed, obliterated the Rangers. And not only that, there's a significant difference between Zanaki using it and Merrick using it. It's such a good scene where we see the headpiece change, and it's such like a significant moment. I really love that. That is so good. And then this is going to sound really odd, but I really like the Time Force Megazord because it has two modes and both of them are different. The blue's very chunky and very triangular, sure, but it's cool and it has a blaster. And then when it shifts to red, it's a knight looking one with a sword and shield, which I've always loved. And I just love the fact that it's the same 5 Zords, but it makes two, and we never had that since. We've never had 5 Zords that make 2 different Megazords, and I just love the duality of it. I think it's great.
Well, I don't mind the chunkiness on that one because having the two modes makes it make sense. Like the chunky one is for more like hardcore defensive or strength-based things, and then you switch
Yeah.
over to the more knightly one. It's got a little more finesse. It's more of an offensive, fast-moving Zord.
Yep.
So like you've got one version that's chunky. I just hate when they're all like big, lumbering,
Yeah.
chunky things. But I actually do also really like the Time Force one.
I'm trying to think of a Megazord that I don't like. If I had to pick, I think I'd have to go with Turbo. And it's not the Megazord. I like the Megazord. It's just that Zords I don't like. They're just cars. I was born 98. I was born the year In Space came out. I missed the whole hype of the Zordon era. I kind of caught up. But like watching it all the way through from Mighty Morphin all the way to In Space is one continuous thing. It kind of just felt like a letdown because you had like dinosaurs. They got upgraded to like these like mythical creatures and stuff. Then they got like Shogun Zords and things. That was kind of cool. Then we had like Zeo, which was all mixed matching, weird looking with different shapes and stuff. We had a pyramid, for crying out loud. That was awesome. And then we got cars. Not good-looking cars, just cars.
And they don't really ever do anything with the cars. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they have vehicles in Lightspeed Rescue, but there are whole scenes where they're like, I'm going to use this one to put out a fire, and I'm going to use this
yeah,
to get these guys off this collapsing bridge. Turbo, I feel like they're always just all driving through the desert, and
yep,
it's that same stock shot, and it's just them going to become a Megazord. Like, their
yep.
whole functionality is to become a Megazord. And even as far forward as Beast Morphers, like, there are fights where they fight monsters with their vehicle Zords, and granted, those ones are a little more interesting, but like getting to see them do things as a singular Zord, it
Yeah.
makes them more interesting than like, oh, it's just a car.
If I had to give my favorites an honorable mention, which kind of relates to the whole vehicle thing, we had vehicles again multiple times, but like you said, they all either do something or they look better. Like SPD's Megazord would have to be my honorable mention. I love SPD's Megazord. That looks so good. I've always loved the whole like SPD season. It's such a good season. Even though that, yes, they're very basic Zords still, but there's a theme to them. They're police. You know, they look very, well, they kind of look like police vehicles, or they look like they could be police vehicles at least in some weird future. You know, that's the difference between Turbo and the other ones. Is Turbo is just there, they exist, and it's such a downfall from Zeo as well, because they are literally, it's a sequel. That's the issue as well. It's such a downfall from Zeo, which had very weird and wacky looking Zords. That's my issue with Turbo. It's just like a bit of a letdown.
I'm a big fan of the SPD Zords because you can actually see the seatbelts. It's
Yes.
and it's not even an over the shoulder. They're in the full like
Yeah, yeah,
double
yeah.
buckle in the middle.
Yeah. I've always loved that.
I love a Zord cockpit where they're sitting in it and you could see the seatbelt, and I feel like they're not gonna die. Because like when you see a Zord get punched in the face by a monster and go down, there's just people loose in its head. And I'm just like, those guys are rattling around in there and they're just dead. But when you see the seatbelt ones, like I also like Ninja Storm because they're in their own individual compartments. So they're not gonna
Yeah.
like, fly out and knock into somebody else. They're in their own little thing and it's
Which
safer.
which the newest seasons kind of got rid of that, didn't they? Like the new Saban season going into like Hasbro seasons, they're always stood together. I think it's Dino Fury. They actually did it really well because in one episode they did get thrown off their like little stations and thrown at the back, and they had to talk to each other and things. Like at least they acknowledged the fact of, hey, just because you're stood there doesn't mean you can't be thrown off your feet when your Megazord tips over.
Even though they're standing in there and they don't have seatbelts, it's still better than some of the ones from like the Disney era and the late Saban era, where the theme was like, it's a room with fog in it, and we're just standing in there. Like Jungle Fury, they're just in a room
Yeah.
full of fog. Dino Thunder, they're in a room full of fog with like an orb. And then the worst one is Lost Galaxy. What? Who? They have a pedestal with a knife in it, blade up, and they have their hand over it, and they're just standing in this loose compartment with a knife right in front of them, with like their body part near a freaking knife. And I'm like,
Can you just imagine? They're like, yeah, we're victorious. Damon, why aren't you cheering? I need to go to the hospital.
just like stuck. It's like security.
His Power Ranger gloves now covered in red. He's like, ow.
I would not pilot that. I'd be like, I'm sorry, the Zord is what? The other ones where they use swords, at least they put it blade down, like Time Force, Dino Charge. They like stick the sword into something, and you know
Yeah.
you could still run into it, but it's not like just you're yeah. Anyway, I find that Zord cockpit to be infuriating. Obviously,
I feel like some of them worked better than others because, like, okay, Time Force, yeah, okay, they're stood, but they hold on to that, like, upside down sword looking thing. They all hold on to individual ones, so at least they have someone to brace themselves. You know, if the Megazord's thrown about, they can just hold on tight to it. Wild Force also, they had that little soul bard thing
like
that they got.
pedestal thingy.
Yeah, that they kind of like stood in that, so at least they had something. But yeah, like Jungle Fury, they're screwed. You know, they're being thrown around. Any of the new Saban era, really, they're kind of getting tossed around too. And they're the crossover audio drama I'm actually writing that's going to involve your Chicken Ranger. The chapter that I just edited, they lose a Megazord, and there's only one Ranger piloting it, but I actually have it so the Megazord gets beheaded, and as the head falls, I actually mentioned the fact that the Ranger's being bounced around inside the head because the head's rolling and falling. So yeah, I at least I used my brain there and put logic into the fact that she wasn't strapped in.
Physics.
We are talking about Power Rangers.
You can breathe in space, so maybe when you're inside a Zord, gravity doesn't apply. Like the gravity outside
That's
of
it.
the Zord.
Yep. You are literally gravity works to your physical structure. So if the Megazord gets tossed, you're still there. You're good.
You're still standing straight up, even when the Zord is sideways.
Okay, question for you then. Quantum Ranger doesn't actually go in his Zord, he commands it. How would you feel if we had more of that, where they don't actually go into cockpits, they command them like with their Morphozord, a device of some kind?
Well, so that just immediately makes me think of Ninja Steel, where they all jump up on their Zord shoulder and there's a little action figure like crouched up on there, like, go get him, Dragon Zord. And I find that truly horrifying. Like, you've put yourself in the most vulnerable position ever. Like, who in their right mind wants to sit on the outside of a giant robot while it's hurtling at, great speeds and fighting a monster? And I don't know how no one ever gets hurt. So yeah, I'm all for being inside the cockpit and having a seatbelt. That's what makes sense to me. More SPD type Zords.
I feel like Quantum Ranger is okay because he's like on the ground, he's out the
Just
way,
he's over
he's
here.
yeah, like he's commanding it and everything, which that's one of the reasons why I like the Quantum Ranger so much. I think it's really cool, and he's one of the only people that actually do it. But yeah, Ninja Steel was weird, especially like how do they communicate with each other? Because even if they had headpieces or like communication devices, you're not hearing anything with all that wind. It's like, hey, form the Megazord. What?
Like trying to pad the outside of the helmet.
What did you say?
We're just going off vibes. Also,
Yeah.
one of the things I really love about that one is a reflection of like jumping in Power Rangers. Like when you're in a morph suit, if there's an intention behind it, you can jump any distance. But if there's no
Yes.
intention behind it, you can jump like a normal person. Because
Yes.
Preston goes like, huh, and jumps onto the back of a dragon that then is shown like in the cloud line with the cityscape below it. He just went
Yeah.
like Supermaned up there. And then never anywhere else in the show is it mentioned that he can jump like 1,000 feet up in the air. Like, he's not using that. Even the Ninja Storm Rangers use their ninja like jumpy power to go like to get
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
fast. I can imagine Preston doing that. Like he can leap a tall building in a single jump.
Just to get to a dragon, that's all it is. Like if there's no dragon on the other side, he can't do it.
If he's late to the movies or something, it's not happening.
Oh no, this is where he just gets the dragon to fly to the movies, hover there so he can jump.
Jump and then jump
Yeah.
right down.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like obviously it's Super Sentai. I know the Super Sentai make them first, but they definitely have tried new and different things. We've had Quantum Ranger command from outside. We've had Ninja Steel trying to sit on them or stand on them, however you want to label it. That's really strange. And then we've had plenty of different types of vehicles, like Wild Force. They're actually sentient to some degree. They're like basically gigantic animals. And each ranger has more than one. That's one thing that differs Wild Force is that they actually have. Jungle Fury kind of did the same thing. They have more than one Zord. I know that they get auxiliary Zords, but I like it when the individual rangers get their own extra Zords, and I think that's pretty cool. Especially with things like Jungle Fury and Wild Force, because like it works with their characters. Like in Jungle Fury, they actually have to learn a new martial art style to unlock the spirit. Like they have to train, they have to like perfect something before they can get the Zord. Unlike Super Megaforce. Sorry, slight dig.
Yeah, I was gonna say that that's one of my favorite parts about them getting different Zords, because one of my favorite things about Power Rangers is character development and
Yep.
seeing a character like have to learn something else or have to even, like they learn another martial art in Jungle Fury, but they still have to like accomplish things or go on a journey or learn a lesson in Wild Force to get another animal crystal because they have to prove
Yeah.
themselves to the animal. So like seeing a ranger that is one color develop more personality traits and getting like connected to more Zords is really cool.
I guess the only time that it's okay if they don't do that is if it's military operated, like SPD, Lightspeed Rescue, RPM, but like there's someone who's built the Zords, like that's fine, that's okay. Because when the Power Rangers aren't being Power Rangers and they're doing whatever else they do, the person making the Zords can make more Zords, so that's a suitable like excuse of randomly they can go, hey, I got a new Zord for you, by the way. That's a logical explanation. That's fine. We can accept that. It's just not okay when they do absolutely nothing and some random floaty head goes, hey, have a new Zord for no reason. Sorry, another Super Megaforce dig.
Okay, a lot of people feel it. It's hard to avoid the dissing Megaforce and Super Megaforce because a lot of people feel that way. So
So, see, okay, I actually dislike Megaforce over Super Megaforce, storyline wise. I love Gokaiger, I think it's fantastic. One of my favorite Super Sentai seasons. It's one of the only Super Sentai seasons I've watched from beginning to end. But it's just how blasé it is. That's my issue. It's like, there's no major character development. Like you said, there's no story arcs or anything. And Goze's like, hey, because you've done this, you've now unlocked this. And I'm like, how? How? But how? Where's your concrete evidence that they've done something? You know, the whole point is using past Ranger powers, and you know, we get like the Lion Zord back and the SPD Red Sword somehow, which made no sense ever, and things like this. And it's just like, okay, but how though? Like, why? Give us some form of explanation, please. But yeah, that's Super Mega Force.
I just started Megaforce, so that's going. I want to like it. I really do. But so far,
I
the Red Ranger's personality is flash.
Oh Jesus, I feel sorry for you. To be fair, I will give this to Megaforce. They okay, obviously it's more to Super Sentai again. I do like how different the Zords are because it's more aimed for the headpiece than anything else. You know, that's the major component there. I like how they try to be different. I respect the trying of it, at least.
I don't know. A lot of the Neo Saban, well, not a lot. All of the Neo Saban seasons definitely feel like they played it safe as far as production kind of squishing them. They were like, no, don't do just as straightforward as you can. And I mean, even saying that, I freaking love Ninja Steel and Dino Charge, but it's no in space, you know, or it's no RPM. Like the seasons when they thought they were done with it and the show's going under, like they really kind of just anything, crazy new ideas.
I agree there because I don't mind the Neo Saban. I feel like the reason why everyone was annoyed because of Super Mega Force is because obviously we were promised this big, like, you know, amazing fight and that never really happened. We got something, but it wasn't fantastic. But like, yeah, they definitely played it safe. They tried to be the next Mighty Morphin. You know, they always had a bully or like two comic relief characters. We always had a fun mentor of some kind. We always had kids at school or some form of educational system. They always tried to do that. But again, I kind of do enjoy Ninja Steel. I'm one of the only people, I've never really seen anyone mention this, but I actually really like the Ninja Steel's Megazord design with the little dude, like the Red Rangers sat in the chair thing. I think that's so clever. I don't care what anyone says. No, that it's super dumb. I will say this. It's so dumb, but I really like it.
I'm like the Ninja Steel Zord's #1 hater. It's stupid and it's weird and
It is stupid.
they're all a rectangle. Every single one of them is like, let's make a block and put a little guy in the front to pilot, which is kind of fun. It's funny, but like the Ultrazord in that season, I hate it.
Oh, that's horrendous. That is goddamn too. There is such a thing as too much, and that is too much. I'll
Yes.
give you that.
And then you put the little tiny guy on the outside again, and they're like, we're gonna fire you at the bad guy. You'll be
Yeah,
fine. But then someone like slashes him with a ninja sword, and he's like, oh, I'm injured. No, you just got shot out of like a chest cannon with like 6 different colored lasers, wielding a ninja sword into the face of a giant monster.
as much as I don't really like samurai, I really do like the idea of the Zords. The fact that they're little like compact things, they have to do the little symbol and then they become big. It's based off origami, which I really love origami. I think that's really cool. I'm not too fond of the auxiliary Zords in that season because they don't really follow the same suit. I wish they kind of all followed the whole origami. Yeah, okay, they may not look great, but I like the idea behind it. I kind of respect that because obviously the Sentai is very Japanese-esque, isn't it? It's very, you know, respecting Japanese history and culture and things, so hence why it's origami. I just like the idea of when they try to do something different. It may not work, but I like it when they at least try to do something different.
It's nice to see anything other than dinosaurs. They don't really start using other dinosaurs. Like it's always a
Yeah.
T-Rex, a Triceratops, pterodactyl, often like an ankylosaur. And you're like, well, can we
Yeah, because like we have 4 red dinosaur rangers, and they're all got exactly the same Zord.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I do like Dino Fury a bit because the Green Ranger's got the tiger. That's different. Out of the 4 Triceratops, 3 of them are blue. But we have 1 pink one, thankfully. Dude, I look stupid, but I do like the Blue Ranger's Zord because the Triceratops has like a sword more than a horn, and on the Megazord, it's a sword. I really like that. That's really cool because they're meant to be knights. The Super Sentai, they're knights. So like that's kind of why they did that. Like, okay, we have like what 3 red lions? Lost Galaxy, Wild Force, and Samurai. Am I forgetting one?
Yeah, I mean, Lost Galaxy's not technically a lion, but
Oh, it's a lion.
there are other big cats too, because like
Yeah,
Jungle Fury and then Beast Morphers are like a cheetah and a
a tiger. That changed it up. And there's other dinosaurs out there. Like that's why me and my son we really like the Gold Ranger from Dino Fury because we had a Mosasaur. We actually had a Mosa for once, and it looks so cool at the same time. And the Megazord's really funky. Yeah, different dinosaur for once.
Isn't Riley the Green Dino Charge Ranger the only raptor in like the whole franchise?
We do have Raptor Zords, but I think he's the only Raptor Ranger. Yeah.
That seems super basic even when you're watching it, but then you're like, well, no one else did it. So I'm like trying to think of all the pterodactyls. There's a pink pterodactyl, there's a yellow pterodactyl, there's a gold pterodactyl.
In Dino Fury, it's one of the auxiliary Zords that has its own Megazord, Terra Free Zord. I think it's the
Lightning,
yeah, it's
the
yeah. So it's the key is around some guy's neck that I think it's Harvey has to get.
yeah, he's in a band and Javi has to play with their band, so he'll give him the
Yeah,
and then his dad
yeah.
gets mad at him, but he was helping the Power Rangers, and you're like, way to be a dick, Dad.
Yeah, that one's unique though, and the gold one's different because they both can turn to Megazords. So that's one key difference between those two. Yeah, okay, we've got 4 of the same, but they're all different colors. They all look vastly different. At least that's different. I'm cool with that if we have multiple the same Zords, but they're different. But
Yeah.
4 red like T-Rexes, that's a bit overkill. Which one would you say is your favorite design out of the 4?
I'm struggling to remember what all of them look like. I think probably Dino Thunder because the Dino
Yeah, I
Thunder
agree.
ones are smaller. They look more like the actual dinosaur and less.
Yep, I was about to say the same thing. They actually look like dinosaurs.
I'm not like a huge fan of the Dino Fury Zords because they look like Legos because they're like directly linked to toys.
Oh, I see that now. Now you say that, yeah, no, they kind of do look like some form of like wannabe Legos. Oh my days.
There's like some sort of endearing quirkiness to them where they
Yeah,
feel like they're Bionicles. Like you know,
that. Yeah,
the Bionicle animations, they look just like the toys, and there's something sort of like off-putting and uncanny about it, but it's also like kind of, I don't know, it reminds me of being in like middle school. So I kind of like them, but then I'm just like, in real life, why would they have all the little like Lego nubbins all over them? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, technically speaking, they are based off aliens. Let's just blame the aliens. Let's just do that.
I mean, if the Rafconians had like polka dots on the side of their face, they're like, oh, it makes sense. It's, it's a reference to like their biology, but it just,
Does the Quantum Rex count as a T-Rex?
I think it does, and it's red.
Technically, the Zord's silver, but it belongs to a Red Ranger. That's the problem.
The Q-Rex is silver?
It's silver, black, and it's got a tiny bit of red on his head, but it's mostly silver and black. Yeah, Google it. I'm literally
Oh,
watching.
I'm like remembering it being totally red.
I literally watched Time Force this morning. It's silver. It's got black highlights and a red accent on its head, but it's primarily silver.
It is very silver.
Q-Rex is one of my favorite 6 Ranger Zords. I think it's one of the most terrifying looking Zords is the Q-Rex. Imagine if that thing was chasing you. Some of the Zords look goofy. You know, I can see the Zords behind you. I look at the Zords behind you. I'm like, ha, lol. If the Q-Rex is chasing, even if it was like a normal sized T-Rex, you know, not like gigantic, like the normal size, that thing would be terrifying. I'm running.
It wouldn't matter if you were Tommy Oliver, you just spin kick it in the face.
I mean, yeah, okay.
That level of confidence, that's like the end all be all of like you're the most confident person in the world. You just spin kicked a T-Rex.
I would love to see Batman, spin kick a T-Rex because we never see him do that. Tommy's got more balls than Batman.
Batman might like punch one though. He's not much of a spin kicker. Maybe.
I feel like Dino Charge has got the most unique designs because there's so many of them. There's 10 Rangers as well. The only one I don't like is the Purple Ranger Zord. That looks a bit like
Well, here's the thing about the plesiosaur is that when it's first introduced and they're like, oh, is it the Loch Ness Monster? It really looks exactly like a plesiosaur. And then for some reason it shapeshifts into like a jet with like a straight neck.
That's what I don't like. I like the first time yeah, I like the first one, but like after that, it's just like, yeah, that's what I see. Is I see some form of like submarine jet looking, spaceship looking thingy. Like the other Zords look like dinosaurs to an extent. That one just looks a bit odd.
And that is yet another water-based Zord that can fly.
It makes no sense. Like, stop flying. You can swim, god damn it. Do we have any vehicles that are aquatic based? Main vehicles, or because they're mostly, I know we've got hovercrafts and like jets and things, but do we have any that are actually underwater?
In Overdrive, they have some vehicles. I don't remember if it's specifically their Zords. They have some vehicles they dive down to Atlantis with that may have just been actual like transport vehicles. And they do have like a Zord carrier that's kind of like one of those big military boats with jets on it. But
We're both like, huh?
you would think Lightspeed Rescue would have one because they're
Yes,
literally
yes,
in the water.
yeah.
But instead, they opted to shoot a giant train into the air.
I'm just trying to think of like if there's a Megazord or a Zord that we haven't mentioned that I kind of like. Oh, the Astro Megaship. I do really like the fact that's just one Megazord.
The Astro Megaship brings up so many interesting questions, like why don't all their belongings fall off of the shelves when they turn into a
Right.
Megazord?
No, we've already answered this
Oh,
because
because
it. Yeah, they have their own defined
gravity.
sort of form of gravity. Yeah, if they can breathe on the moon, we can mention the gravity.
You could say they don't know, but why don't they ever use it as a Megazord in Lost Galaxy? They don't know it's a Megazord, but Alpha would know.
Yeah, Decker would know surely.
It's kind of broken down. Like Damon basically hits it with a wrench and kicks it to get it to work.
Yeah, but can we really use that? I'm sorry, but if it's a simple case of, right, it can no longer turn to Megazord because we hit it with a wrench, then every Megazord should be completely screwed by this point. Tommy literally breaks into the Mighty Morphin Megazord. Like, if it's that simple, he should just tapped it with his dagger.
The Turbo Megazord, when the brother cousin guy shows up of Divatox with his
Mm.
awesome henchmen that have like multicolored gas masks. They look like evil Easter eggs. Like they're paint. I loved them. And they were in
Evil
episode.
Easter egg.
And they
Wow.
climb up all over that thing, and somebody busts out the windshield with a wrench, like it's not even shatterproof glass. And I'm like, who built this? Theoretically, Billy, but what the hell, Billy? You know the importance of like shatterproof glass in a windshield?
Little things like that kind of just get you thinking, doesn't it? Like how simple or how confusing. I know it's a kids show, so we shouldn't think about the science in the questions, but as adults, you start wondering. But yeah, certain things like we've mentioned how, Zords get transported or like they'll have like some form of like transportation. They're arriving to the battle scene of any kind. We've got the Mighty Morphin Zords, there's the Ninja Storm Zords, the Quantum Rex. They all just appear. One of them literally comes from a volcano constantly. Quantum Rex comes out from the ground and everybody's fine. The trees are all fine. And it's just like, how many birds has the Quantum Rex killed or ruined the houses of or something, like.
Then you have the Zords in Dino Fury literally bust out of the side of that mountain every single time, and like the rubble goes everywhere, and then it's sealed back. I had somebody make a joke about Zords are like caterpillars and they cocoon themselves back into the mountain so they can
Right,
bust out
sorry, mate. I just need to borrow this rock real quick. Yeah, cheers.
again. Just like
Ninja Steel Red Ranger. He lives inside of a building. His Red Ranger Zord, literally the panel of the building just turns around and he's there. And I'm like, everyone in that building is going to get motion sickness if you carry on summoning your Zord.
it's gotta be a fake building. Every time I see that one, I'm like, there is no way. That is a fake building, and no like zoning person or fire marshal has looked at it because, like, I don't know, someone paid them off.
There's one kook, he's seen the Zord come out of the building. He's like found out it's completely hollow. He's told everybody now he's known as like the town nutcase because he truly knows that the building's hollow and everyone thinks he's just like,
Yeah.
but he's telling the truth. It's like Ninja Storm. They like come out of a cruise ship, a plane, and a Ferris wheel or something.
Like a
Um,
roller coaster with a Ferris wheel around it.
are there no people?
I made this mistake recently, and the
Oh,
community made sure to chastise me.
oh,
But
okay.
in fact, they are already the Zords. The Zord is just sitting there, and the thing that we see move away is a hologram that's covering it.
That can't be though, because they're in the chamber. We see them being teleported from the chambers.
I don't know.
See, I'm telling
You're
you.
gonna have to ask Cam Watanabe, like, what's up, dude?
Unless Cam and Sensei bought those three very specific things,
And close it
um,
down.
closed them down completely, and then made it so they're the entrance points is for the Zords themselves, like specifically, and they just sit there collecting like dust, rust, and like no money, you know. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can think of. So in other words, Cam and Sensei are loaded, and they decide to run a ninja school.
I mean, that ninja school does look pretty fancy. I'm sure it wasn't cheap to build.
Where does the green Samurai Ranger Zord come from? Does that come from anything? It doesn't, does it? It just appears.
It's an aircraft, right? Because he jumps out.
Yeah, it's a helicopter that can turn to a Megazord. It doesn't actually it doesn't like appear from anything, does it? No, I didn't think so.
I don't remember where the Thunder Ranger Zords come from either.
It's a shot, and they kind of like just appear from like over the ledge sort of thing. Like again, they're just
kind of
underground.
appear.
Like they got lazy after the first three appear from really fancy places. After that, you know, they got lazy. They're like, yeah, they can just turn up. It's all good.
You got the idea, you know.
Yeah, it's all good.
Helicopter shows up.
That's something else that Ninja Storm did that's unique. They didn't have any auxiliary Zords. All of their auxiliary Zords were like weapon things that come out of the little balls that they can summon. I thought that was kind of interesting. That's a unique take on using different weapons and Zords and stuff. We don't really get to see that much.
You have upgrades, but not entirely new Zords.
I always liked the lion that can turn into a Gatling gun. I always liked his design. He looked kind of funky. Why do they have a Bumblebee that's like a Beyblade? But hey, I digress.
He doesn't have to make sense.
No, I mean, Ninja Steel does have a UFO, you know, because that's totally to do with ninjas. Every ninja has a UFO. We know this.
Isn't someone building that and it runs away? Someone's working on it. It leaves to go rescue the Gold Ranger.
I don't know if they're building it, but I know that it does turn up and it saves the Gold Ranger, yeah, and then they eventually... Oh, I'm trying to think of what other auxiliary Zords they got, because they got the elephant, which gave them, like, shurikens or something. They had the UFO, the Astro Ninja Steel Zord, as they called it.
Full
my god,
that's the 6th Ranger Zord.
Yeah, which, by the way, the fact that they didn't give him the cheeseburger morpher, but yet that's his camera, is stupid. Just saying. I'm sorry. That'd be so funny if he had a cheeseburger morpher. I'm sorry. That'd be hilarious.
And they put in all of the groundwork from a writing perspective of his character really liking cheeseburgers. Why doesn't he just have that as a morpher? Like, what was the point? 6th Ranger is often different from the rest of the team, and it makes sense with the character, and it's fun, and you already have it in the show.
Oh, I'm sure they had an aquatic themed one. Was it like a submarine or a shark or something?
I don't remember anything past the first 5.
Because I know that they also get a secondary set of Zords. They have that lion mecha thing, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
The Red Ranger.
The princess from like the Lion Galaxy gives them the Fire Lion Zord, and it goes along with the Battleizer. Lion,
which makes no sense because it's their ship.
The ship is like connected to the armor, and she gives him her armor and her ship.
Okay, so we have obviously Robo Red, Dragon, Nitro, Kodiak, and Zoom Zord. That is one thing I'll give Ninja Steel. They're all vastly different.
Yes.
We've got vehicles, animals, a ninja dude. It's not like one specific theme. I mean, the only one that looks like a ninja is the Red Ranger's one. But I mean, you know, we all seen ninjas on trains. We've all seen ninjas on trains. Lion Fire Zord. We have Rumble Tusk Zord, which must be the elephant. Astro Zord, which is the UFO. Bull Rider Zord. Is that it? Is that all they have? Okay, maybe it's the Super Sentai that had more than.
Oh, like they took some out?
Well, I mean, that has happened a few times, because obviously in the Wild Force Super Sentai there's actually a animus for the Conga Zord. There's a red gorilla and he's got like a different faceplate for his Megazord. I don't know if they ever acquired more Zords, but they do show off more Zords. I know for Dino Thunder there's a blue, it's not a T-Rex, I don't know what it's called. It's a very long name but I'm not even trying to pronounce, but there is like a blue version of the T-Rex, and then there's a Casmo Zord which is similar to a Triceratops Triceratops, but it's got more of a big, thin shield head, more than 3 horns. They combine into a Megazord, and it's called like Barocken O or something. That's really cool. He's ice themed. They've done it a few times where they've either removed Zords completely or like alternated the Zords. Like I say, like the Orca to Shark Zord, that's changed. Which I find interesting why they remove Zords. I wonder if it's because they just don't have the money, or they don't think it'll become good toys, or
I mean, I
yeah.
find it really interesting when they remove Rangers. And I mean,
Mm.
usually it's like ones that are only in 1 or 2 episodes. Like, isn't there a Dino Thunder Ranger in the Sentai who's like, she's made her own costume and she's only in like 2 episodes or something?
The character is pretty much in every episode. She's kind of like one of the supporting cast, and she wants to be a ranger. She ends up building her own suit out of like a motorcycle helmet, big ass goggles. She's got the logo on like a big jumper thing. She's got these oversized like cooking glove looking things that she's like sellotaped to her wrist. And yeah, she's kind of like built herself a wannabe Power Ranger suit. It's kind of like a Boom's dream sequence type thing, where she's only like there, but she doesn't do a lot.
Isn't there literally like a green frog Zord and Beast Morphers?
From I'd say Disney to the end of Hasbro's, toys were like, they kind of clicked on that, hey, kids aren't the only people that'll buy this. The adults still watch Power Rangers, they'll buy this too, sort of thing. So they kind of focus more on the sellings, like toys. So maybe that's why they started picking and choosing what Sentai Zords get adapted.
I mean, you got to put your own spin on it, and they are rewriting it, but it is like, I would want to use everything that I had access to.
This is why I started doing this little mini series on TikTok where I'm looking at the adaptation changes between Power Rangers and Super Sentai. I learned about the main villain for Time Ranger, which was really interesting because he's actually in Power Rangers Time Force. It's just in Time Force he's a complete joke. I love learning like the differences, and if I had something like Super Sentai and I had to change it to something that Americans, Europeans can watch, I'd totally use every single asset I possibly could. Rangers, morphers, weapons, Zords, anything, especially if my focus point is this has got to sell toys to kids. We've got Cole gets a bike from Animus, uses it once in Forever Red, and then that's it. And that was just all to sell toys. And it's not in Super Sentai either. That's an American-made thing.
That brings up like so many missed opportunities in Power Rangers. You have a flying motorcycle that was strong enough to blow up
Serpentera.
Terra, which is like the most powerful Zord ever, and you use it twice. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's really strange, especially when it comes to Zords, because I know that, like you said, you prefer the character development of it and everything, but as a kid, I wanted the Zords more than anything else, toy-wise. Morphers, yeah, okay, maybe that was a very close second, but I would prefer the Zords and the Morphers over the action figures, like the actual Rangers themselves. I've still got my original Wild Force Megazord from 2002, 2003, whenever Wild Force came out, which is very old now. Always bummed me I never got the rest of the Zords. I never managed to get them. I was only like 5 or 6 at this time. And if there were Zords out there in the Super Sentai that you could have used, why not? If you're going to throw in a bike for 3 episodes, but it's not even 3 episodes, it's more like 5 minutes of screen time that you want to make up yourself, why not use the Zords and make more money? Because the Megazords were more expensive than the action figures. Or they could do a Hasbro and completely botch the Cosmic Fury Zords, because that always bugged me. Always, but I can see you because I saw your videos on the Morpher, the toy Morpher. I think I rewatched that like 3 times after because I was like, hang on, I don't even have it and it's pissing me off.
Like, it's fun and it's cute and everything, but it's a piece of trash. I hated the way they used the Zords from the Sentai, but they didn't even really use them. Like, they're barely in it. They don't really rationalize how they connect to the new suits that they've designed. They have a bunch of them on autopilot, which is a missed opportunity to have a larger team, and then they just get blown up right away in the final battle. And I'm like, for all the effort it took to just completely not do anything with that, why not just make your own Zords?
They don't even use all of them either, because there's more than just the 5, 6 that we see. The Sentai that it's based off is one of my favorite Super Sentais with Aber Ranger. Technically, there's 12, because there's an 11th Ranger who turns up, who's kind of like the Quantum Ranger, where like he's red, but he's different. And then the Red Ranger gets a White Ranger form, which is kind of like Galaxy Ranger type thing. And it's just like, yeah, like you said, they brought in Billy, they brought in Heckle, we had Mick being the Red Ranger. There's 9 Rangers there. Throw in one more, you could have had everyone pilot a Zord or something. The whole thing with the little globes they have that turn into their star signs, mind. That's a whole thing within the Sentai. The way that it's connected to the Zord is really cool. Like, we never saw the Cerberus Zord either. That's really funky in the Sentai. They never ever utilize like half of what the Zords can do. And like you said, you know, why not just make your own Zords? You got new suits, new morphers. They made up new weapons. Why not just make new Zords at this point?
I know they were trying to save money because they really just kind of wanted to put the series to bed, but just seems like they could have put a tiny bit more effort into it.
Even the purple Zord, which is technically the sixth Ranger Zord, he's kind of like Doggy Kruger, where he's like a anthropomorphic dragon-looking dude, and like it makes no sense how his head fits in the helmet because he is literally a dragon, like a humanoid dragon. His morpher's different. He's got like a walking stick cane with a dragon on the end. His globe goes in the mouth. It's really cool. And his Zord, it's, you know, we see that in Cosmic Fury. That gets a whole episode to itself, which, yeah, to be fair, it's okay, but like they don't really use it that much. It's only ever used, you know, to do the final strike. And it's like, oh, the Super Sentai makes that Zord so good. The way they use it, it's like you kind of feel this like sense of accomplishment when he finally morphs. Like, you know how Doggy Kruger finally morphs and like he beats like the 100 like, you know, goons at what, and you feel like, holy, you know, like, oh my god, like this, it's the same for this dragon. Like, he's the leader, you know, he's the mentor, and he morphs for the first time. It's like, oh my god, yes, big dragon thing, awesome. And it's just like in Cosmic Fury, it's such a letdown. As much as I do like Cosmic Fury, I do like the American made footage, I do respect the process. The Zord's really a letdown.
I mean, I really love Cosmic Fury, but I know that they sold it short on the production end. Like, if they'd given them 22 episodes, it'd be so much better.
It's funny you say that because my son's watched the very first series he watched was Dino Fury because it's the newest one, and now we're kind of working backwards. He's watched Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury, and he's watched Wild Force, and we're literally right at the end of Time Force. And then he's told me I can pick the next one, so I'm going to get him to watch Jungle Fury because I think he's really going to like Jungle Fury. But he's actually, the 6-year-old asked me, why is Cosmic Fury so much shorter than the rest of them? And I don't know how to explain that to a 6-year-old. Lab sat there like, because they didn't want to make it as long by, I guess. Time Force and Wild Force are both like 40 episodes, you know, and then for some weird reason from Saban, or, you know, Neo Saban onward, we got the Super,
Those
which
are
is
all like 22. It's like 22, 22, 22, 22. So it's still around the same amount because Time Force is the one season, it's about 40 episodes, and those are 2 seasons, it's about 40 episodes. 10 episodes is nothing. And I know like a lot of stuff nowadays will have like 8 episodes and be kind of like a special, but those are like 40 minutes long. These were still
so
like,
sometimes over an hour, depending on what it is. There's a few TV shows where like the first episode and the last episode is almost like an hour and a half, depending on what the show is. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it just doesn't work for Power Rangers. You know, Power Rangers is all about the build-up, execution, and okay, yes, it's aimed at kids, but there's more to it than that, isn't there? They're trying to fit in getting an Orange Ranger, Heckle, Billy being around again, Mick morphing again, the whole storyline with Zato, this whole invasion thing, Zed, all this in 10 just doesn't work. It needed to be at least 20 episodes, at least. You know, they get the powerful Zord, it just feels rushed. There's no execution to it because it's only 10 episodes. If they made it 20, you could have given more attention to the fact of, hey, there's another Zord here, by the way, that you don't know is there.
I love it, but yeah, there were a lot of things that I would change or would have wanted them to do differently. Moving on to other Zords, one of the things I have written down is that the Mystic Force Zords are the Rangers. That's very unique and also
Yeah.
horrifying. Why did they
Yes.
do that?
I'm really glad you brought that. I actually forgot about Mystic Force being the Zords because we've mentioned all the different ways that Zords get, like, you know, work and stuff. Yeah, they are there. Do they feel the Megazord be like? Do they
That
feel the like legs snapping off and stuff? Like, ow!
in the Sentai, one of the things that I actually liked about the fact that they are the Zords is when they combine into the dragon and then the guy rides the dragon, when the dragon would roar, it would be a sound of all 4 of the actors yelling at once, which I thought was just like a cool effect that does confirm, yes, that dragon is 4 people, but at least they're siblings, I guess. So they're genetically related. But yeah, that's so awkward. And they don't talk about it afterwards. Like the next day at the Rockporium, Xander and Chip and Vita and Madison weren't like, so that happened.
Your legs was in my back for a good 30 minutes. To be fair, I do really like the Mystic Force Zords. I really like the way they look. They are really cool. Their cockpit looking thing's a bit odd. You've watched all of Magi Ranger. Does it make much sense?
Oh,
In no,
I
I love the way you did that. No.
so I fully expected that they would explain it in
Hmm.
Magi Ranger, and I'd be like, "Oh, a chessboard. Oh, they're the chess pieces. Oh, it all makes sense." Nope. First time they got into it, it's exactly the same as Mystic Force. They're just in the Zord, and they're like, "Whoa, we're in a Zord. Why is it a chessboard? Why are you the chess pieces? How come you were the bodies, but when they become a human shape, you're inside the bodies? Is that just your consciousness is like inside and you're still the physical form? Or did you like separate from the bodies to become in the cockpit? And where are your legs? Are your legs inside? Or is that like the lower half of your body? Because that would, I would imagine, would have
Oh Jesus!
been painful.
This is where you kind of just have to nod your head and go morphing grid.
The morphin grid made it work. The morphin grid somehow made it not awkward, I guess.
It's just like I always question the Jungle Fury, Jungle Pride Megazord because whenever they move, the Zord does exactly the same thing. So what if they had to like itch their heel or like what if they sneeze? Does the
Yeah.
Zord also sneeze? Like does the motion of a sneeze? What
It,
happens? I'm curious.
interestingly, as horrifying as Mystic Force is with them becoming the Zords, one of the ones that is actually the most horrifying is Jungle Fury because I feel like that's one of the seasons where they really show someone being hurt by the Zord being hurt the
Mm.
most. The episode where they take out the leg and it like really messes up Lily. Like she's in the cockpit, like laying down screaming, and they're like, "Oh God, Lily!" Like, and she's like, like, oh, not good. They're destroying her spirit animal, and she's like in debilitating pain.
See, this is where I question it because, like, what if, for example, Theo and Casey start arguing in the Megazord cockpit and they start scrapping? Does the Megazord punch itself in the face? You
Yes.
know, like, just like
Yes.
the monsters just stood there, like, "Are you okay?"
Like flailing around, throws itself into a building. It's like, why? I'll come back later.
I guess Disney wasn't afraid to low key put like body horror into Power Rangers.
And they just hoped the kids wouldn't notice.
I was on a podcast a little while ago. We were talking about like the low key little hints of horror within comic books, and I think I need to kind of throw Power Rangers their way because that would be low key horrifying in real life.
Closing thoughts.
I think the only thing I'd better say is at least they're all unique. Yes, okay, the four Tyrannosaurus Rexes, but they all look different. They all have different mechanisms. They're very different. They're all unique. There's not one season where you're watching it the next season, you're like, oh, they did this already. The Rangers are unique, so the Zords. That's one thing you can kind of put across.
I'd love to see more variety in the Zords and the themes. I mean, like dinosaurs, cars, ninjas. It's all been done.
Animals,
Never had
yeah.
animals. And
Insects. We need insects.
exactly. Insects is such an untapped vein. I mean, they have like a couple of them, but a whole season of that would be great. Like
Or
sins or deities.
a whole season of aquatic themed animals.
There you go. That'd be awesome. Because they kind of tried to do the whole like the main ones are all jungle cat things with Jungle Fury, which I really
Yeah.
enjoyed because it's like they're all kind of connected, which makes it more synchronized. And then that you get in the other ones as they learn other skills. But yeah, just more variety. Don't keep
Yeah,
doing
agreed.
more red T-Rexes. I'm done.
Yeah, the next time you want to do a dinosaur themed Power Ranger season, just use any other dinosaur, even if we've seen it before.
No T-Rex.
Make the T Rex the bad guy Zord that gets blown up.
There you go. Is there anything that you would like to plug that you have coming up?
Yeah, check out the Tiger Nexus podcast. I've actually interviewed our lovely James here before last year. That was great. And the Three Ranger Bros Studios YouTube channel, which is myself, Cosplay Dude 67, and Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. We do lots of different Power Ranger content. And we're also going to have James featured on there at some point too, which is awesome. So yeah, that's kind of where you can find me.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Please comment what your favorite and least favorite Zords are.